Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, rather. It is Monday, October 6th, 2025. Welcome to today's edition of Trading Trends, ETF edition. More all-time highs along the way. Borderline bubblicious here. There's a lot of all-time highs. We will go through them. It was quite a day. One of my favorite traders of all time, probably one of the best, Paul Tudor Jones, was on CNBC today talking about pretty much how markets feel exactly like 1999, and this is where most funds can be made. And then look out below for a rug pull later. But he's the AI tailwinds continuing as well and going higher, and he loves Bitcoin. And I encourage you to watch it. The guy always just bleeds and sheds wisdom from everything he says, honestly. All right, excuse me. So let's get to the doc here. You can read that for a sec. So today, a big day for semis. I don't know if you woke up, you saw the AMD news. They closed up 25%. They gave OpenAI a 10% stake into their company going forward. A massive historic type deal where AI is going to be within the infrastructure of a lot of companies going forward, enterprise level, consumer level, and NVIDIA shed a little bit as they're not the only game in town. But today, like I said, we're looking at ETF semis, gold, Japan. Japan had a massive day, gapping up last night. It was up more, ended up, like I said, all those major ETFs ripped 2 to 3%. We'll take a look at the charts. And then down 2%, they sold off Mexico. Parts of Latam have been under pressure. We'll look at Brazil too. They've had a nasty week. Mexico, retail, and home builders all fell 2%. So if you were in those areas, not so good for you. And the new all-time highs for, let me take a deep breath for this. IBIT, QQQ, IWM. There you go. That catch-up trade was, easy to tell. We always say there's a gap there between the 52-week high and the all-time high. It was easy to tell on IWM there. IWM closed at basically 247. There's a lot of room there from 232 if you were looking from, summertime. GDX, the gold miners continue to make new all-time highs. The GDXJ does not. That's your catch-up trade. A 2X from here. There's meat on that bone still. Buy it on pullbacks down to the 21-day exponential moving average. Gold, new all-time high. ETHA, developed markets, new all-time high. The SOXX behind the AMD news, of course, new all-time high. VEA, developed markets, new all-time high. Utilities, new all-time high. That's not super AI, although there are AI links. New all-time high for that. Utilities, tech, of course. XLK, new all-time highs. EWJ, new all-time highs. And industrials, new ATH, all-time highs. So a lot of strength in the market. Let's get into it. First, let me hop into the dashboard panel. Thank you for joining us. If you have a ticker or something, put it in. A lot of stuff moved as usual, and take at it. Let us see. Let me see here. All right. So real fast, we'll pay attention to the big single stock movers first. 24%, like I said, close for AMD, massive, just historic. It was actually as high as 227. They did sell it off and close on the lows, but absolutely historic day for AMD. Tesla up 5.5%. Stock looks amazing. SPY closed up about a third of a percent. NVIDIA, like I said, just down 1.1%. They actually took that to the mid levels of the day. FYI, Microsoft adding 2%. That's no small company. Stock looks very good. Palantir up 4% to about 180. Stock looks great. Google up 2%. So tremendous. Micron has just continued to be on this run. I'm sure we'll talk about it on Spaces tomorrow if you join us at 11 a.m. on X. Gold up 1.9%. We'll take a look at that chart. A big move. IBIT, of course, new all-time highs for Bitcoin. We talked about it on Thursday night show. I said some point in October, but it's very possible it happens this weekend. And then it happened, basically Sunday night into, today, Monday. Taiwan Semi up 3.5%. If you had a semiconductor link today, you are pretty significantly. The SOXX up 9%. That's the 3X. Okay. So intraday action here. They sold it off right in the open at 9:30. We opened about 671.5. They sold it off at till 10 a.m. all the way down to 669.5, and then a nice recovery throughout the day. Almost tested VWAP at 330 near the close, and then still a nice close above it. VWAP on the day 671.25. We ended up closing 671.80, up about 30%. As I zoom out here, what's up? I'm the Gaston. Hey, can I see later? CRM long. I love. Much respect. I will. I'll take a look at it. You're going to wait for the end of the show, but I love that. That's where your head should be with catch-up trades like that. There's probably ones with higher confidence intervals than Salesforce, but I like where your head's at. Every squirrel will get a nut here. I like where your head's at. We'll take a look. Also, just curious if you wanted to do, I'm guessing just long shares. You're not an options derivative strategy for that because there's a lot of vol in there. And I'm pretty sure you're probably just looking at shares. So we'll take a look at that. As I zoom out here for SPY, your all-time high for SPY, Qs was today, IWM was today. Beautiful rotation. There's so much, yes, long shares, he says. Appreciate it. I'll take a look at it at the end. All-time highs was Friday at 673, essentially. And here we are, basically 672. I'm rounding. Now I look in terms of the dates with my bullish accumulation phase, essentially. So I still have basically here around October 15th for a top, and I'm still looking right around 675 for that. So upward momentum, pullbacks, aggressive, serious pullbacks will take you to at 662. I don't rule out any kind of a pullback to that. And it sounds crazy to say, if you get a pullback to that, that's a 21-day exponential. I would take it. Excuse me. If you get to the 50-day moving average, it's pretty amazing to think, but it's 649, and that is a level we just first reached for the first time August 28th. So it's amazing. Deep pullbacks, that's where it would take you. And again, we're still at 71 RSI here, just barely scratching above 70, but beautiful above 47 RSI trading since April 23rd. That's absolutely insane. So this market is continuing to surge. This is just, I mean, that's one of the stats I look at, and that momentum will carry you higher. You're a performer. That's what SPY is telling me. So again, still see about another, the direction is up, and the ceiling, I would say short term, is about 675, and SPY will get its day just like Qs and IWM did today. The same engine gets powered by the same things, essentially. If it's SOXX and SMH and the industrials and XLU, don't be shocked if you have XL. It's SPY new all-time highs tomorrow. It's a nice little flywheel we have going here. Like I said, 675 around October 15th is my target, and I see sell-off taking about that 660 to 662 level, and if things get ugly, right around 648 to 650, to be frank. So there are your levels. To me, again, the market looks very clean. Possibly, I don't know, man, like maybe early next year, you'll get a fall off to about, 600 even, but I'll concern myself with that when the time comes. Right now, charts look wonderful. Let's take a look at some of these movers, and I will look at Salesforce at the very end. Let's take a look at what they moved big time. You cannot ignore the SOXX. This is not, just NVIDIA and Taiwan Semi making a third of the ETF like SMH. Look at this. This has been standing room only to bid up the SOXX. This gets me excited. This has been since September 18th, an absolutely wild ride here. It's from 265 all the way to 288. A pretty clean rejection, though, I will say, this morning at 292.5. It is a new all-time high, but when I see stuff like that, it lets me know the market is not ready for it yet, at least factually not ready for it today. But with an RSI of 82 and overbought since the 18th, I would have to think this one continues to crank higher. In terms of the chart, I still like it similar to what I said for the S&P. Obviously, this is mega beta exposure, right, in the SOXX. This is, overbought by many measures. My full valuation for it is right around 280. So I personally wouldn't chase it here, but the momentum will take it higher. I wouldn't sell calls. If you have any kind of a pullback to 267, that would be really a lovely entry. If you got that on some kind of, super, I don't even know what takes SOXX down right now, but it was in purgatory truly until June 4th. I'm a huge fan of this group. How can you not, especially with, the U.S. economy and the concentration that we have in our indices and how much cash there is slushing around. For you not to love the SOXX, you'd have to be, to me, pretty foolish. And just a beautiful trade. And remember, last thing on this, we were looking at this energy here coiled between 254 and 232 for a long time. And finally, it just broke on about September 15th to the upside, obviously, and it's north of 250 now. So, that's my story on SOXX. New all-time high today, up 3%. That is a big move. That's the biggest standard deviation move of the day, obviously powered by the AMD news. Number two, they are not done buying this thing. It is called gold. And it's funny, just simple anecdotally, I think I was reading the journal and some posts this weekend. Still not a lot of people own gold. So it's on this massive tear from last year. It is overbought since Labor Day, okay? Since it cleared above for the GLD above 325, and here we are at 364. It tagged 365.30 today. Nice looking candle still, 83 RSI. That is the truth right there. I think this is going to peak short term here, right around this. My gosh, like right around in low 360s, right around we are here this week. Crest, but probably with an upward momentum higher. That RSI just tells me this is a heavier person on the seesaw is going to drive the story higher. I guess the the lighter person on the seesaw would be flying. So I guess that's going to be this one. So that's gold. Just a really, really great time for gold. Pullback. So again, I wouldn't chase this one above 355 much, and I would see a pullback over the next 2 weeks. It's really going to test your patience because it's a very hot trade, obviously. But it would take you to about 345 or $20 off. Good luck waiting for. I think it gets there in a couple, 2-3 weeks. But gold, a new all-time high today, a big day up 1.9%. And then another new all-time high. Today was all about the semis, gold, and Japan. If you didn't know that, I don't know what market you were looking at, but those were the big spaces today with the all-time rally in the Qs. Here's Japan, new all-time highs. This thing up 1.8%. That's massive for a nation ETF, and as is this one. 70 RSI, just barely. This one does not get super overbought this year. It peaked at 73 back in those big crazy days of August when folks were loving seeing the breakout in the Nikkei. Here we have, again, 70.5 RSI, so barely a scratch above. Yeah, I like this one here. The entry, I think this has a bullish 2 weeks. I like this one here, but I wouldn't chase. I do think I don't believe when the significant moves are made in just 2 days all the time. Beautiful chart, obviously, but nice gap up. Probably has to get filled. I'd love an entry around 80-70, and this isn't a super volatile ETF, so entry counts every penny, especially options. I would wait if this could have a fall. If you're going to get, I think it would happen some point this week at around 80-70, and I love it with an 82 half to an 83 even target. So I would possibly wait for a drop to at least you get where like an 80 handle and spot here, and then possibly buy those 82 December calls if you don't want exposure to this in Japan. But great new all-time highs, not an area that everyone's in, gives you some international exposure. The market is absolutely high. Let's look at what was down today. Some big losers today. Mexico, this thing has come off to a 52-week high October 1st, just 5 days ago. And then, pretty big move lower now today, down 2%, is Mexico. This was a joke of a story here until the bottom, essentially very near the bottoms here in April, where the SPY hit its 52-week low, and then just a beautiful turnaround. Really, I mean, you closed above the 200-day moving average April 16th, but the 200-day moving average was continuing to fall, and it finally stabilized right around early May. If you want to combine those things, then you see a breakout above a certain level, or at least have it hold. That would be fine to do. This was a little bit of a difficult chart to buy. I would probably have, this would have been a perfect hindsight 2020 entry at 57, and now here we are. But all in all, with Mexico, give it around this week to base. I think ugly pullbacks would take it down to 64 even, not much lower than that. I still do think they believe in the name as they have since April. Mid-April looks really good for the past 6 months. I think, like I said, significant pullbacks will get you down to 64 even. I like that entry at 64. Otherwise, I think right here, to be frank, under 66. I like this here this week. I think there's a chance you get frustrated though. It goes 64. What was the low today? 64.94, and then they bought it up. Yeah, I don't think you get that 64 handle. If you do, I love it. But also under 66, I like this. And the target for me is right around 68 to 68.5. I would think December call spreads as well in this. Maybe you could just use the 65s if you just want a little bit more edges in stock. I don't hate that trade either. So we have something for Japan, we have something for Mexico, and obviously, hopefully, you're already exposed to the COGS, the beauty that is the S&P 500. But this looks very good here. And again, also, when we got a 52-week high in Mexico, just a tailing tail, you got to a 59 RSI. I think I laughed about that when it happened. I said, don't be shocked. You're going to get a move quickly from 68.70 down to about 66. And then, boom, here we are at 65.60. So charts usually spit truth. But still beauty holding 50 RSI since August 5th, since the breakout here above 62. I like this. I think it's setting up and you can make money in Mexico. But today, not. Today, not, down 2%. Another losing area, down all similar amounts today, 1.9%. Retail. Retail peaked on September 17th. An ugly rejection there at 89.40. Knew it wasn't ready for that, the 52-week high. And then they send it down today to $85 which is essentially 1 month lows, is retail. What say we now? As I said, the market right now, when you get bubblicious like this, it's a roulette wheel. There's money to be made, honestly, everywhere. And then you have some single stock exposure would be good. Like you got upside catalyst like an AMD. And I know several traders that had their, not that they were having a bad year to begin with, but had the best day of the year today. And it's, unexpected October with a massive AMD OpenAI deal. They're investing in each other now. So just be exposed. XRT, I don't hate this story here. There's definitely better looking to rising 200 moving averages. But again, every squirrel gets a nut. Obviously, retail, consumer, job losses pick up. This is affected. This has very many tie-ins with a United States economy that's driven 70% by the consumer. RSI is as low as it's been since this swoon here in August when it came very close to the 200 moving average. I think this is basing this week. Ugly sell-offs and a continued ugly sell-off will take you to an 84 handle. I don't think you're going to get it. That's a 50-day moving average. To me, that would be a buy. But to be frank, I like this under 86. Similar as I recommended EWW under 66. I like this under 86. And my target is, I'll say $90 in about 2.5 weeks. So about $5 from here. You could do call spreads. You could do it calls in terms of also just 60 delta calls. You can buy the 85 calls. You can buy the 85, 90 D's call spread. So a couple things you can do. Also check, of course, the liquidity and the vol of those specific spreads and what you're looking to spend. And then another loser today with rates higher. Bonds did move lower quite significantly. Rates jumped, and that negatively affects the homies. The home builders down 2.1% today. An ugly day for the home builders. An ugly looking chart, honestly. It's trying to wedge this recovery. It's been looking decent since, again, a lot of recovery and rotation into these names come early August. This is not a horrendous chart. The 200 moving average is still going lower by about 2%, but 2 cents a day. 2 cents a day. Once you start to see that stabilize, like we saw in Mexico, this thing can rip higher. You combine that with a higher overbought RSI plus a 200 going higher and a breakout above our previous level. And I got to tell you, green light, blue skies up ahead. This one, I think you have money to make in it tactically over the next 2 weeks. I think this is going higher. I like accumulations. There's some trades popping out to me today in different spaces, not just the usual semis. Obviously, as they're hitting strides today, people don't want the stuff that's, maybe had a bad day and it's had a nice 3 months. So that's what you have to look at, especially in terms of rotation. But yeah, I like entries here under, I'll be honest, I think under 112, 111, under 111 is good. Right here, it's basically, I'm rounding 110. You do have a sliding lower returning moving average. I don't love that. And the RSI is near the lows it's been for the past 6 months. There are better names, but this is a catch-up trade. This reminds me of almost Gaston Salesforce question. Like, the homies are not the place to be. They peaked last Thanksgiving. All that being said, 119 target for about 2 weeks, in my opinion. So you can do, I do December call spreads because you like to have enough time. You could do the 110 calls for December, or you can also do, maybe you could check out the cost, but you could do a 112, 120 call spread, and maybe you can even do a 1x2 if you want to collect a little bit more. But this will break out eventually. Maybe something in the macro coincides with it. Like the market sometimes has a perverse reaction, like Fed cuts rates and then home builders will drop, which doesn't make sense because you would think mortgage application demand would jump and it makes the home builders go higher, but the market can have adverse effects. If you remember last year, the Fed cut right here and this group dropped 4.4% and entered an oversold period for a couple of weeks. So the market doesn't have to make sense. But I still like this recovery here. Once this 200-day moving average starts to stabilize, and all you really need is this stock to hold above 108, it will happen in, I don't know, a week or two. It's going down by 2 cents. Very possibly end of the week. It depends what kind of momentum it has. I think it'll take it higher. So I like this one. The homies, Mexico, Japan. There's some nice setups here. We're not just saying buy Bitcoin, although you should. All right. So those were the losers today. Mexico retail home builders. Let's go to the top 3 gainers of the past 5 days. The best best trades on the board for the past 5 days. I don't mean to turn this into the crypto show, but 2 of the 3 belong to crypto. Number 1 is ETHA. ETHA, that's the Ishares Ethereum ETF, up 4.5% today, but over the past 5 days, up 12.25%. Absolute monster. The all-time high still struck back at the end of August when it had that big 14.5% day, up to 37 handle. It's getting very close. Look at this. Just one red day since September 26th for Ethereum, and I think it was a very marginal day. It was down 60 bips, and now up and away. Now what? Just looking at the charts, just like this, it's going just I think it has bullish momentum, similar to the other charts we've talked about. Bullish momentum for another around 7 days. I think it continue this full week into the weekend. And then your target is not much further from here. I have around 36 even. I came very close to tagging that this morning. The all-time high is 36.80. So somewhere thereabouts. You're not overbought, but love everything whipping further higher here. You're getting a curl up in the moving averages, obviously. So yeah, this will have another nice week. And congratulations if you continue to be in it. The best performing ETF of the past 5 days, Ethereum. Number 2, ARKG. And I like this one. We continue to give Kathy Wood her flowers. People have joked about this ETF. Look, it is overbought. Hello, for the first time all year. For the past 5 days, standing room only to get in from the 27 handle. Whoop, just like that, up 10% in 5. It's actually up 11.5% in the past 5 days. Number 2 in the past week, only after Ethereum. This did peak last February, or 8 months ago rather, at 31 even. It looks like it's trying to take it here. You have a lot of strength in the healthcare industry. I know there's a bit of a Trump bump through his whatever happened last week and the Pfizer associated news with his own medical care prescription plan or whatever it is. This has had a massive move off this swing low from September 25th here. So again, I believe in about 15-day cycles, and we're looking at 11 days on that. It has a monster move from 26 to 30, more than 10%. I think the bullishness continues for the week, but my full target for this is honestly 30 even, stretched from 29 with the vol expansion. So I don't want to chase it here, but it will have some zigs and zags. You got a rejection today at 30.75, maybe a little bit back and fill to 29.80 or something like that, and then 30, so on and so forth. Does it have new 52-week highs in the next couple of days? Possibly. I'm seeing that overbought. Volume starting to dry up a little bit. Stochastic momentum makes as high as it's been all year. Could possibly do it. I wouldn't bet on it, and hence I'm not. But if you have the past 5 days, congrats. You already caught 11%. And the number 3rd best chart, a new all-time high on this one today. I've been telling you buy it since it came out, essentially. IBIT, new all-time highs. Hello. Up 10% for the past 5 days, or an average of 2% a day. That's what it did today. IBIT looks incredible. It translates to 125K in Bitcoin. I think similar to Ethereum or ARKG, has, look at this here, new all-time high. Where's your RSI? 67. Volume is rising. That could be a lot of weekend, wanting to get into the IBIT. But this move again happened, in the past 10 days from 62 to 71. We were talking about the dip, then the rip. This is, Bitcoin testing 70, getting ponged down, going back to 61, 67, not even getting to its prior high 70, but holding that 61, and now a breakout above 70. What happens? Like I said, more bullishness for the next week, probably some zigs and zags. Maybe it revisits a 69 handle, 70, 71. But I wouldn't chase it above 70 here. So to me, it's getting a little bit rich. I wouldn't chase it here, but more up momentum, if that makes sense, for the next week or so. And then the next pullback, as crypto giveth and crypto taketh away, the next pullback will very likely take you to 65, which is 10% down from here. So you'll see crypto, Bitcoin go from 125 to 113. People say, oh, that's the rug pull. Here we go. No, that's where you should enter. And I'm honestly expecting that swing low to probably occur something at the end of this month for that actually to happen and work itself out. Probably around Halloween, people get spooked out or something. So just something I'm kind of foreseeing. Continue to buy IBIT. It's essentially your year-over-year performer, give or take, with the gold miner juniors. And, other, I think China, I'll have to check when we do our Friday wrap-up show. Okay, top 3 gainers in the past 5 days, as I said, Ethereum, ARKG, and IBIT. If you're in any of those, you've really, really enjoyed some gains in the past 5 days. Let's look at the losers. The biggest loser, and you really have to squint, when we're looking at 12% gains in Ethereum, 11% in ARKG, and 10% in IBIT. The biggest loser in the past 5 days, Mexico down 3%, 2% of which came today. So this is not, things that are getting absolutely walloped. It's, 4-1 in terms of Ethereum in Mexico. Obviously, different volatility adjusted, duh. But I'm saying I really have to squint for losses in absolute terms, period. I already talked about Mexico. I like the setup here. If you get this under 66, I think it'll reward you. There's been definitely worse spots that you can be in since August. I like it. Every scroll gets a nut. You get international exposure. Perhaps, you don't just always have to have the shining jewel that is the U.S. stock market. You get some exposure here to Mexico. I already, like I said what I said about it. 66, 69 call spreads December pop out. You can also buy the common if you like. Mexico, the worst place, though, in the past 5 days is Mexico. Is it done? I like looking at the recap for the past 5 days to see is, the bleeding done. It's interesting when they have the lows. So they had this on October 2nd, all the way to 65.52. And look at that wick. They took it all the way back up to 67 nearly. And then look, here we are again at 65.60. Is it done? I'm not so sure, but again, I think entries under 66 will reward you. Mexico, the worst week of any ETF. Number 2 worst week, oil down 2.5% in the past 5 days, and it had a good day, up 1.6%. We said this thing is a loser. We said it was going to frustrate, and a bit of a value trap is the honestly oil and the entire sector of XLE, in my opinion, at least for now. And you see, this is what I mean. In other charts, at least we see a curling up of the 200-day moving average, like we were talking about retail. There's some home builders. There's different, not retail, I apologize. Home builders, kind of a turnaround story. This is just absolutely dead, the 200-day moving average at 73.69. Here's the news, in my opinion, for oil, USO. It's going to base this week around 7, possibly a swoon to as low as 70. I'm not betting on it. Probably closer to 71, but it's such garbage week. I don't really love stuff that in trades in this market under 50 RSI. So I'm not honestly ruling out a a drop to $70 over the next week. And then a move over the next 2 to 3 weeks, probably to 74 to 74.5. It's just going to be frustrating. I don't really want to waste more breath talking about this. The fact that it's the second biggest loser of the past 5 days. It's funny. Mexico presents to me opportunity. This I have no interest. Tactically, it will base this week around a 72 handle, and then it's going to drive up to 74, 75. I'm bored just talking about it. That's USO, second worst ETF this past 5 days. And number 3, some more LATAM hate. Let's see if there's a setup like there is in Mexico. If you want more international exposure, I think you have a nice little reversal buy here in EWZ. This is very interesting. So you got 52-week highs here back on September 23rd at 31.5, overbought, still holding 50 RSI, 53 to be exact. You got to fall back to that 21-day exponential moving average. I think this base is here, same thing, under a 30 handle. Right now it's 30.3. Fine, same difference. I really do like entries here under 30 half. Let's say that. And then the target is 31 half, which would be new highs for Mexico. Not all-time highs. I love that too. The catch-up trade for this one abounds. I don't think this is wrong from the data provider. This still has, way overhead. This would go 2x if it goes back to what it was in 2013 during those days. I like trades like that, especially with this is nice holds of the 200 moving average, and a really good place to be is Mexico since Cinco de Mayo. Or I'm sorry, this is Brazil. Still, Brazil a good place to be since Cinco de Mayo. It's the same date. September 23rd was the peak for these guys. Like I said, I like this reversal buy. Target 31 half. It's $1.20. So trade appropriately in terms of the upside and the options. You can buy the common stock. You can buy the 30 calls. You can do the 30, 32 D's call spread. See if that's listed in liquid. Some international stuff really popping out. When you have Japan hitting all-time highs, there's currency fluctuations abound. It's good to have international exposure, especially in a market like this one. So that is EWZ, the third worst place to be, down 2.25%. So it was Mexico the past 5 days. Oil, and then Brazil. But like I said, opportunities, I believe, abound in 2 out of those 3 areas. Top 3 trades of the past 5 days. If you've been long Ethereum, ARKG, and IBIT, you're crushing the market in absolute terms. There's no better long or short than that. All right, that shall be all. I will speak with y'all on Wednesday. I'm sure we'll have some crazy. Oh, let's go through CRM. I would hate to make you wait and then not get what you asked for. Here is Salesforce, one of the biggest dogs in the market. Truly a horrendous looking stock. These guys peaked the week after Thanksgiving of last year at 369. And tell me, traders and technical analysis is not workable and proven. Look at this. Collapse, like I said, from last December. 200 moving average still rising. I want to give a champion a bone here. But after this earnings report, really things started to move lower. May of this year, and then the lows came in August. And then this earnings report did not help. And now it's still, look at this, a 51.5 RSI. It has not been above a 56 RSI since May, since before the earnings report. I believe in earnings and technical analysis, not fundamentals, but I'm talking about earnings reactions in terms of the price married with an earnings reaction. And they have not viewed, quite simply put, they have not bid up. The stock has not been above 56 RSI since that May report. That's all you need to know. So it's only going to get to a certain point, and then someone's going to see that line and say, no, I'll just move to the other line, buy something else. All that being said, next earnings report, let me see here, is about December 4th. So you have some time. Boy, too bad OpenAI, I guess, can't buy half the company. That's probably what you would want. This, it's crazy. I would say this is going to base for a long time here, under 240. It's trying, and now you're falling at 245. It did peak at 250 today. Your exact question is, hey, can I see later CRM long? I'll just tell you what I'm seeing here. I think it's basing this week. This thing is really, really tough. I don't think it's ready yet. I don't love to see. I'm not going to waste too much time on this. It's still not ready, in my opinion, just because I like to at least see breakouts above prior levels with a rolling 200 moving average like this. So this is still far too weak for me. If anything, I would need a close above 255. Nice, easy number. Actually, to be frank, screw easy numbers. I would want to close to fill this gap essentially from the end of July. I'd want to close, make it easy for above 260. And then I would say, okay, this is starting to become a little bit real. So that's $15 away from here, or about 6-7%. I think this tactically has a nice, let me move that box. I think this has a nice 2 weeks that will take it to 260 tops. To be frank, I think this probably gets to about the 255 region to 258, very close to where it was prior to those earnings. And then what happens? Another drop to about that 240 level. So if you want to chase this up for about another $10 to $12, go for it. But I think folks had your same idea. Where do you think is a good entry? It's such a piece of crap. What is your time frame on this? 1 month hold? You're trying to be an investor? Are you trying to get a date with Mark Benioff? What's your time frame? Because this is a Dow component. This is they own Slack. They have a lot of formidable problems in the company, a whole AI valuation evolution that they're going through. Good valuation, 1 month hold, he says. Yeah, I think you have to be. I don't want to chase a piece of crap in this market. I'll be frank with you. So I would have to be in under 240. I would love to be in probably closer to 230, 235. Okay. And then I would get out if you start to sniff that 255 level. I think that's all it's going to be. And then if you finally, like I said, you get a close above 260, you could probably allocate a little bit more. And then a real believer out of me is made if we get a close above 280 and the 200-day moving average at least goes flat. And then this is a turnaround story. And then you'll see something like United Healthcare. And then before you know it, this thing will be at 365. That'll take time. All right. Thank you for that, Gaston. Good luck. And we will talk with you all on Wednesday. Peace.